no one around me is supportive of trading. I don't see some of my family as much anymore because they wish I had a regular job because they define success differently than me. When I'm dissecting the winners, dissecting the losers, how can I take that info and then translate it into a trade idea?
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Trader's MindChat Show, where we talk to professional traders from around the world to get into their mindsets, what has helped them become successful and get past the stumbles, the hurdles that so many of us face along the way. Today, I am extraordinarily blessed to talk to Austin Silver again, friend of the show, and somebody that I'm going to be seeing in a few weeks in Amsterdam at the Traders Vault. Austin, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you having me on again. You know I'm happy to be here.
Absolutely. And Austin and I were talking for a few minutes just before the show started. And the more that I get to know Austin, the more impressed I become with him. Like, not only has he become a very successful trader in a relatively short period of time, but has also grown multiple businesses and has done all this by the age of 25.
Yeah, I just turned 25 in January. So
wow, man, that is awesome. Like, I think back to what the hell was I doing back like to date myself? Like, Jesus Christ, I just turned 40 last year, and I think back to like, well, what was I doing at 25? Like not running multiple businesses and certainly not being a successful trader at that stage. But
I caught the bug early, and like that was it. Once I caught the bug of like understanding that money gave you freedom, I just became obsessed with businesses. So like the original story that my dad tells everybody is when I was 13, I tried to take my mom's jewelry, like her actual diamond jewelry, and I tried to take it to a yard sale down the street and sell it. And I did. Like I took it out of the house. I was walking down the street and he stopped me. So that's where I kind of started through. I don't know what before that really got me thinking that way, but it's been this way my whole life where I've always been trying to make money. Even the lemonade stands, cutting grass, shoveling snow, that stuff, like selling baseball cards even for a little bit of time. And then I had my DJ business, which was like my first real business. And that was when I was 16, I started that.
DJ business. Well, what kind of stuff were you DJing?
I was just doing parties. Like it was literally just people needed a DJ. I was doing it. Other people in my town were doing it. So we all kind of like pulled together and we were doing all the gigs that we could just for cash basically. But it grew into more birthday parties and more private events. So then I started doing those on the weekend and I was making more money when I was like 16, 17 than all of my friends. And I was only working 1 or 2 nights. So that really got me like, I tasted it at that point. When I went off to college, I had more money than all my friends. I had a car that I had paid for. And at that time too, so I was doing the DJ thing, but I was also interested in finance. And we had gotten some money when I was 13 from my bar mitzvah. And my dad allowed me to put it into a stock. And we bought Apple stock and it was under $100 a share. And we were able to make like 7 or 8x on our money on that trade. But it took 4 years.
And when was this?
This was in 2000. Well, I was 13. So we would have to say probably 2007, 2006. Something like that. We bought Apple, just 10 or 11 shares, and it was like $97, $95 a share. And then we sold it before the stock split. So it was like $700 a share, something like that when we sold out. So we made good money on that, but it took a couple of years. And that was like my first taste of like, okay, I'm working on the weekend and I just made money on this trade to buy my car. And this was my first car. So it all kind of came together as this thing. And I was like, money equals freedom. I know that this 9-to-5 thing isn't going to be for me. So I just kind of was pushing through, and trading didn't become like a real thing in my life until I got into college and I got an internship selling life insurance. So I was still doing the DJ thing. That business was kind of growing and I was passing it off basically to a bigger company because I knew I didn't want to be a 50-year-old bar mitzvah DJ. No offense to the 50-year-old bar mitzvah DJs. I just didn't want to do that. So
in this business, like it's not just you, like you have like other people like helping you or DJing for you.
Yeah, when I was younger, there was a couple of guys in my town that were doing it. And then when the business got to the point where it was people asking for TVs and all these things that I didn't have, I was still living I was like 17, 18 years old. Like I didn't have any of this stuff. I had to combine basically. I just brought all of my business to a bigger company and I started working through them and they provided everything that we needed. So I was already in that process of like, okay, I'm giving that part of my life basically up as I'm going to now try to find my next path, which was finance. which was selling life insurance. And then that didn't last very long because I wasn't making any money doing that. And I found day trading. And then the day trading thing came back around. So I'm like, I remember the Apple trade. There was no trading in between the Apple thing that we had done with my dad to buy the first car. And like, I guess you would say 7 or 8 years later, when I actually started trading, 6 years later, when I started trading again, my own money. So yeah, it came because I was selling life insurance, but I was 19. So no one buys life insurance from a 19-year-old. You know what I mean? No one takes a 19-year-old seriously in finance at all, in anything. So I started studying for my Series 7 to sell stocks, to sell bonds, to try to go that route, mutual funds, like, because I figured people my age that I knew had some money would want to invest at least, and I could help them. But as soon as I started studying, I was like, what is day trading? I see these guys making way more than 6% a year, 17% a year. These guys are doing 60% a month. You know what I mean? I'm like, that was it. Just down the rabbit hole, watching all the videos on the internet, just consuming all the content I could, and I was hooked. Yeah.
So I have a question about that, but before I ask it, I already saw like a couple of hands go up and some people already typing stuff into the chat. Like, I promise you that we will get to all of your questions. Just keep on typing them into the chat as we go. The way that this is going to work, we'll start answering questions and go into the live Q&A portion about maybe half an hour in. For now, like I can't wait to dig into more of Austin's story and to get into some of the other topics of this. So with the 60% of, like you saw 60% a month, people day trading, when I saw that kind of stuff too, and I'm not like that, this can't be real. Like that, this has got to be.
Oh yeah, of course.
Well, like, did you have that thought in your head, or did you look past that? Well, like, what was your mindset at the time? Do you remember?
So I think it goes into, I do remember what my mindset was, but it goes into more of like who I am. And my dad will tell you that I'm Mr. Conspiracy Theory is what he calls me, which means I'm cynical. Okay. I won't just accept anything for what I'm told it is. I want to be verified. If you can prove it to me with facts, like some real fact, data, statistics, numbers, then I believe it. But for the most part, I'm a little bit skeptical of most things. So going into trading, and I told my dad I wanted to do it. My dad was kind of on board at first. It deteriorated from there. Yeah, at first it deteriorated from there, but like he was on board at first. But going into it, I knew that most people lost money in it. So I knew most people were going to be negative towards it. So I knew that I couldn't really listen to what most people were saying about it. So I knew what I felt, and I knew that there were these potential returns people were saying. They almost looked not real. But I also knew that there were statistics behind what they were saying. Even though everybody else was saying, this is not real, you can't make money trading, you can't do that. I saw people doing it. I saw real people. You know what I mean? So it's like, yes, I get you can't do it, but I'm overly confident myself to the point where it's hurt me sometimes. You know what I mean? So that was where that overconfidence was like, no, I'm going to figure this out. No matter how much money it costs me, I'm going to figure this out.
Damn, man. So you're like, I'm going to figure this out. And then what were some of the initial steps that you started doing that? Like,
so I was going to start trading penny stocks. So I bought Tim Sykes' penny stock course. I found it online for cheap. And I like that story of how I got it. It's long. It doesn't matter. I got the videos, bootlegged versions of them basically, because I wasn't going to pay the full price. I knew that they were available on the internet for free. I was like, I can find this, whatever. So we found it. Me and my dad watched it. I got interested because it was technical analysis. I had never seen that before. And it was like, okay, this makes sense to me. Pattern recognition. I'm like, I like this price. Like this is something that I can.
And this was like 5 years ago.
Yeah, this is about 5-6 years ago now. So this is just, I'm going into 20. I'm just trying to figure this out. And I'm still, at this point, still working, selling life insurance, trying to, because I didn't just quit that internship. I found the trading stuff and I started to work with it because I wasn't making any money. I had to learn. So from Tim Sykes, I bought a couple other like penny stock guys courses basically, and it all was teaching technical analysis. So I basically, I guess, formed my belief there that technical analysis would work, but I knew I couldn't trade
like
stocks.
Technical analysis is still like something that isn't talked about that much. Like maybe like I'm just like in a silo of this where like everybody's kind of doing that, but like maybe outside of the silo, like it's different. Like, well, what's your thought?
I think it depends on the market. And this is this is just like what I find to work, the logic that works for me to produce consistency in my trading. So like for me, the patterns and the technical analysis are based on previous price data. If you're trading a market that gaps a lot, like the stock market, where stocks will go crazy with gaps, it's very hard to gather good data to then base those decisions off of. But if you're trading something like Forex, where we don't close midweek, we close once just for a few hours on the weekend, and there are very, very few gaps, the patterns and the indicators in those things, I think, are a lot more reliable in that situation. So technical analysis, I think, works. But if you try to apply the technical analysis that you can use in Forex to the stock market, I don't think it would work exactly to the T. And that's why people have a discrepancy about it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. All right. So to circle back to where we were, so like you're getting into the day trading, penny stocks.
Yep.
Were you successful out of the gate? Did you have some struggles in the beginning?
Yeah, I didn't actually go into penny stocks because I didn't have 25 grand to get over the pattern day trader rule. So I was like, okay, I can't do this. Somehow I ended up, of course, I stumbled through binary options online. I saw someone talking about that. So I went into that, tried to trade that, very quickly realized that that was not trading. I didn't even spend much time there, more than a few weeks. Then that led me to Forex. So then I find that you can trade Forex with US regulated brokers, and there's also unregulated brokers. And I'm like, okay, so I can put my money wherever I want to put it, and I can trade currency exchange rates. Of course, like no one's talking about this basically, except a couple of people on Facebook that are talking about it with a multi-level marketing company attached to it. So that was how I was introduced to trading Forex, was through these multi-level marketing companies. I quickly then realized, after that was about 2 months, 3 months of that, I was like, these people are not teaching me how to trade, but I know that I can still trade Forex. So I just need to figure this part of it out. I need to leave this multi-level marketing crap and just, you know what I mean? And honestly, just a comment on that I've had a realization about myself recently in that point in my life. I was scared then to realize my own potential. And Riley, my girlfriend, helped me realize that, because at that point in my life, I had people that were saying to me, I'd rather pay you to teach me how to trade than be paying X, Y, and Z multi-level marketing company and then still having you teach me. Because we were all meeting them. I was having 15 people come to my house and trade with me and learn how to trade. But we were all trying to, you know what I mean? So everybody was saying to me, I'd rather pay you. But I was saying, go to the company. I don't want to deal. I learned I should have jumped on it then. That was the first time I could have been like, yeah, I can start a business. But I was scared of my own potential. So it was a good realization for me to look back on that now.
So
yeah.
Well, what do you think the potential is?
I think the potential was that I have been a business owner and I've been someone that's entrepreneurial minded, but I've also been fearful of, what if I don't make enough money? What if I can't pay rent? What if that fear held me back for a long time. And then as soon as I've let go of that fear, all of a sudden floodgates open. It's crazy. But it is because I was afraid of it's in a lacking mindset. If you're always thinking about what you don't have, what you might lose, I think you attract that to yourself almost. So once I could stop, I really had to force myself almost to stop thinking that way. And it helped. I was less fearful of like trying to worry about paying rent 6 months down the road. You know what I mean? I'm like, it's just a different mindset now, I guess.
Did you have savings or other things to help support you on that? Or was it just like, like maxed out the credit cards, like kind of down to my last dime, like, hey dad,
Right. So I was very fortunate. So with college, my dad has had a successful career being an attorney. He had money saved up, so we didn't have any loans for college. When I decided that I was going to leave college and really focus on trading, and I was like, all right, dad, I'm going to try to make this work, and I'm going to leave the life insurance thing, and I'm just going to trade. He actually gave me the last 10, like it was like $9,600. That was we took the penalty on that because it was in a 529 account. We took the penalty. I took that money and put it into an Owanda account, and that's what I've been trading ever since. So I was very fortunate that I had that. And then on top of that, to answer your question about the savings, I had the DJ business. So I actually had a savings because I was saving money when I was growing that business. I knew I had taxes coming due because I was 1099 and things like that for that company. So like I always had some money saved, plus then that little kickstart to my trading account. So I'm very fortunate for that. I'm never going to, be ungrateful to that, because that was my start.
So what helped you get past those fears? Like self-talk, like somebody else like helping you, like your environment?
Dude, it was so weird because like my dad was willing to let me take that money and start the business, But at the same time, he was not supportive of trading. No one around me really was. I had a roommate at the time that used to keep saying to me, when you figure it out, let me know and then I'll come learn with you. That's what he used to say to me. You know, and you know, that is not the way to look at trading. That is the opposite mindset of being a trader. You know what I mean? So with all those people, you know, around me, it was more like I shut off. That was my way of work. That's my way of dealing with it. I just turn them off. I don't talk to them as much. Like I don't see some of my family as much anymore because they don't like that I dropped out of college to trade. They wish I had a regular job because they define success differently than me. You know what I mean? So I just shut them off. That's it. That's as easy as it is for me. Some people can't do that. So it's, you know, it's a personal thing, I guess.
Interesting.
I'm cold, I guess, Michael. That's what it is. I'm cold-hearted.
What was that?
I said I'm cold-hearted.
Yeah, well, like it's so interesting, like how that tends to develop or come to fruition later on. Like I think of my own path to it, and like yeah, like in a way, like I'm very similar in that like I can turn things off easier. But that's something that's been developed like since early childhood, and maybe that'll appear. My story will appear on another podcast some other day. But yeah, like I definitely get what you're saying there.
Yeah, and I think that helps me in more ways than it hurts me. So, and then I can apply that because I know I have that ability. I apply it to my trading too, where if like, for example, if I'll take a loss, I am able to shut off and not be emotional about that loss. That is that same quality in myself that I'm able to recognize, just using it in two different ways. So I will shut off people that I know I shouldn't be talking to, even if it's tough, even if it's my cousins, even if it's my, you know, whoever, mom, dad, whatever it is, I will do it if I have to. And that was why my dad and I had a tough relationship for a long time, because I have that ability. And then in the same sense, I'll turn it into my trading and say, yeah, that was a good trade. I lost a couple $100, a couple $1,000, whatever, shut it off and come back. You know what I'm saying? And next trade, be focused on that. So it's a mindset, but I think it is a negative characteristic to some people. But for me, it's like, I'm going to just accept who I am and lean into it as I can. You know what I mean? That's what we all have to do, I feel like.
So one of the things that you mentioned recently on Instagram, and is one of the key topics that we have listed here, is about dissecting winners, right?
Yes.
Like because and I love that you pointed to dissecting winners, because so often everybody's like focused on like dissecting the losers and like, oh, like I can't do that again, but like focusing on winning trades too. Like can you talk to that a little bit, and also like, because you mentioned the like turning off the like a losing trade or being stung by it, like how closely are you looking at these individual trades? Like, are you looking at each and every trade, like, or is it more like looking at groups of trades and trying to find patterns, or maybe a little of both?
It's definitely a little bit of both. Like, I'm looking at the whole thing. I'm trying to look at the month. I'll look at the week, because getting caught up day to day definitely will I think lead me at least to getting too tunnel focused. But as far as dissecting the winners, a lot of what like my system is, but like my trading comes from, is technical patterns, like I said. So where I get a lot of my reps, like going to the gym, is by doing markups by hand of the trades that presented, whether they're winners or losers. You still mark them up as trade ideas, because if X, Y, and Z parameters are met, that qualifies as a trade. And then we would see that trade through, winner or loser, right? So I try every day. I sit down 3-4 o'clock normally and do markups of all the winners and losers each day. So those are my reps in the gym. Those are my chart markups. And what that allows me to do then is say, okay, it's Saturday afternoon. I got nothing going on tonight because my DJ career, I'm retired. I can now open up my files and look at the winning trades from last week and say, where could I have added into this trade? Where could I have got, and then for the losers, I'll say, where could I have gotten out of this trade better? So it's dissecting the winners and the losers to say, what could I just do better in what's already working? Rather than trying to find some brand new reversal strategy off the top, crazy gold thing, whatever you want to call, indicator strategy, whatever. I'd rather just say, okay, I know I have these 3 systems. That's what I'm trading right now. 3 patterns that work really well. What can I do to, every time I see an A1, what can I do to add into it so I know I can put a little bit more risk on it? Because here's 150 markups that show if it does this and I add in here, I'm going to be able to use the same stop loss level and add, you know what I mean? And see that idea through. It's always about ideas to me. So when I'm dissecting the winners, dissecting the losers, how can I take that info and then translate it into a trade idea is really what I'm trying to do.
Interesting. So how long does it take you to dissect daily?
I would say I spend like at least an hour and a half, but I'm doing a lot too, because I want to do it to the point where I'm setting the example. So I put a lot of text in my chart markups, a lot of detail in it, because I know that the people I send them to read them and they learn from them. So I want there to be a lot of information. And then it helps me because I have so many things going on like you do. We've got 45 million things running in our mind. How am I going to remember my Euro USD trade last Tuesday if I don't put any text on this chart, what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling, what time did I wake up? I need to know those things so I can say, yeah, I traded well today because I got to bed early last night. I didn't eat ice cream before bed. You know what I mean? And those things, like that's where I'm transitioning now. And I'm going to start talking a lot more about that stuff now. I think those biological things I'm starting to see have an impact on my trading performance. What I eat, how I sleep, how much I exercise, all that stuff is playing a factor in it. It's crazy, but it's very true.
You just entered into like a whole new world that I just started too. I just hired a nutritionist.
Nice.
Last week or starting on Saturday, I'm doing this restart where I cut out all sugar, all processed everything, and like Monday I actually crashed. Like I slept like 12 hours, and like very similar on Tuesday. And those 2 days, I with the energy so low. Nope, not trading today. I'm not in a great state to make trading decisions.
But it's good that you're going through it, because I feel like a lot of us right now, I feel like I'm eating the healthiest I've ever eaten. And it's because I'm going out of my way to get organic stuff. And it's like, I'm noticing how different I feel. Like I feel younger than I feel stronger, healthier than I am today than I was when I was 17 in high school. But you know what I mean? I looked 20 pounds heavier then too, you know? So it's like, I think what I'm putting into the machine feeds not just the physical, but also the mental. So I think it's a whole thing. I don't think it's, oh, go to the gym and you're going to be healthy. That's it. It's not. It's like, how much sleep are you getting? Are you recovering properly? Are you feeding the body what it needs to properly like show up? And I'll give you an example. If I have a trading day where I have one great trade and I smack it and I hit it exactly the right way, I follow my rules and it's just perfect. It happened yesterday. It was really, really a very flawless trade. And those are the best trades. I can look back at that and I can say, what did I do the night before? What did I do that morning? How was I feeling? Those things I feel like are what we should be focusing on repeating and building into like your overall trading system too, rather than the days where I'm 5 trades deep, 3 negative, 2 positive, and I'm at break even and I'm ready to pull my hair out because last night I stayed up a little bit later, or maybe honestly, it sounds weird, but for me, it's like if I eat too much junk food before bed, like 8, 9 o'clock, I won't think the right way. I will try to call a counter trend trade when I could just be buying it in trend and riding this thing to the moon. You know what I'm saying? And I honestly think it has something to do with the sleep, the food, the other things that I'm doing the night before. That has something to do with it because I'm not thinking the right way because I know better, you know?
Yeah, 100%. Like, are you going to be making better decisions when you're feeling vibrant, when you're feeling energized and focused, or when you're kind of feeling like, oh man, like I shouldn't have eaten that second scoop of ice cream?
Exactly.
And that other piece of pie and the chocolate, like, and that's all me, like that. Like I was doing all that stuff. Like, yeah, like it definitely, dude. Like,
and honestly, it's cool because we're going into this like technological age too, to kind of take it away from trading just for a second. Like biohacking is becoming this thing that's cool. You know, people are talking about microdosing mushrooms to, you know, become sharper. I know people that are seeing great results from that. Like they tell me that it's working. So it's not just the internet telling me that. But I also see people doing different things, even like the new thing, the blue light glasses. Like right now, my whole screen is orange to help my eyes. So all these little things are like biohacks, but they help improve our performance. And I think that it's such an awesome thing that's coming to like a forefront now, you know? So it's awesome. I'm all about the diet stuff. I'm not crazy. Like I won't go vegan and keto and all that. I'm moderate and I'm healthy. And that's where I find the best results. But sleep is important. Very, very important. Like you said, if you feel like shit, you trade like shit. That's the next t-shirt. Like you feel like shit, you trade like shit. It's the truest.
Yeah, man. Well, we've got to make that one. Yeah, that's part of your business too, right? Like you've got a clothing line?
Yeah, so we do a couple different things. So like really what happened was I was working, like go back to the trading story. After going through and trading on my own for a little bit, I ended up working with a company in New York for 1.5 years. And then last year we went our separate ways for a mutually beneficial reason. And now Riley and I are co-owners 50-50 of this business. So she runs all the marketing and the education for everything that we do. And I focus on trading and helping the traders in our group. And it's a really good balance. She's very, very smart. She, not just in general, but with marketing. She went to Temple for marketing. So she has this college education that does help her a little bit here with what she's doing, which is awesome. And she's the one that kind of initiated the clothing brand stuff. She's initiated now this weekend, we're launching the podcast. She's the forefront of the YouTube thumbnails and the YouTube, all of that stuff. I'm just the voice, but it's good because before I couldn't do this on my own. I couldn't be the voice and provide really good content and market it and sell it and think that way. I couldn't be both. I just couldn't. Some people, I'm sure they can. The best entrepreneur in the world, maybe. But for me, I needed this partner. And it just happened to be that she's also my girlfriend. And it just works out really awesome that we get to do this together. So now this is what we do, all day, every day. She's actually packing right now because we're headed away for the night. But yeah, so that's kind of where we came from. Me just trading in my dorm room to trading in New York to now trading here. And it's grown into something where I'm really happy with the community and I'm really happy with how we're able to impact traders. And I feel like there's all different people all over. You're one of them. The other guys that we speak to, Rolf, Akil, all the guys in our community of like traders that are all about value. You notice everybody supports each other. Everybody's like, yeah, other people can. I think that is the truest sign of somebody who actually wants to help other people. And I feel like we just keep putting our message out there. And that's why I keep with the YouTube videos, because there are some days, I tell this to Riley, I'm like, there's some days where I just don't want to make any Instagram videos. I want to just hit my trade, and I want to go do my thing. But I still have this drive to want to help people. And I feel like I'm very grateful, I am very grateful that I'm able to satisfy that want through trading education, through working with people like you, through the opportunities that we have coming, even this thing coming up in April. Like, I'm unbelievably grateful that we're doing this thing in April. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, man, I can't freaking wait, and I'm right on board with everything that you just said. We're going to open up the floor to the Q&A in just another minute, so guys, get your questions in. I quickly wanted to just circle back to one of the last things that you were saying too, to go back to your reviewing process, like daily and weekly, and you're still doing like so freaking much. Like, how do you is it just a matter of like your prioritization? Like, okay, like I've got to get this done, and then like transforming that into content, or like, so like, how do you?
I'll tell you, it's easy. It took me a while to figure out the process, but it starts with planning. So I would get ahead on content, which definitely would help, because I want to be able to trade and focus on trading and not focus on making content while I'm trading. That's a big thing for me. So planning ahead has definitely helped. And that started with like, I think the first thing is like writing my goals every day. Once I started getting more clear on what I wanted to accomplish, I was able to then prioritize a list of what I needed to do every week to get that shit done. And that was what I started to focus on. And then that broke down into smaller lists. And then I kind of would go at it from there. But right now, because of the amazing things that we can do with technology, if I shoot a YouTube video, I can turn that video into a couple different pieces of content. So I'm focused now really on, I want to put good quality content out there that then can be broken down into something that people need to listen to a couple of times to really consume it and really understand it. But it's that valuable. And that's where I find that that I can get my message across to stick. You know what I mean?
Interesting. Wow. All right. There's like things in here that like I'm jotting down to help improve my own business. It's amazing. I love having people on because like I can selfishly take like little things and,
you have to learn from everybody, right? And that's the thing. You always have to learn from everybody. And the other thing that Riley, I got to give her credit for too, because we have it coming up. We do seminars too. Like I do live events where we meet early in the morning, we trade, and then we do some education. So to your question about like how we make all that happen, I'm constantly still doing the markups every day to stay on top of my craft. That leads me to finding new ideas. It's just who I am. I'm creative in that way, where I'm going to experiment with, okay, maybe is this a pattern? Should we see this through? And that has led to the content that I can then put on YouTube, the content I can teach in the seminars, the content I can put into a new course and things like that. So if I'm doing markups every day, That's the foundation of me becoming a better trader every day. If I'm doing that back testing every day, staying on top of what's presenting every day, then I can say, well, maybe we have a new edge here. Let's go see this through. Okay, cool. We have something. Let's test it for 6 months to a year. Okay, now we're testing it. Let's put it to a course. Cool. Course is out. Now let's go do a seminar. So it all kind of stems together as like a business. You know what I mean?
I do. Let me see. Questions. Guys, get your questions in. We got one person that's like just waving hello. So like you've got to like get your questions in, man. Until I hear from you guys, we're gonna keep going. So now let's see. So to go back to like the developing systems that you can consistently execute.
Sure.
What do you think is or helped you develop your systems that you can execute, and how would you recommend that other people do similar?
I think what makes my systems unique is that my entry signal comes when the entry signal presents, it sets the levels for me because the system itself is based on averages. So I would do the back testing on an entry signal. If the average entry signal would present with a loser of, let's just say, 6 pips,
Okay.
and I know where that stop loss is, then I can, every time that entry signal presents, use that same stop loss. If the risk reward on that take profit on the other end of that, if that take profit would justify it based on the expectancy of that system over the long run. So what I would do is, let's just say for that system, if the average loss is 6 or 7 pips, but the average winner is 18 or 19, I could then go forward thinking, okay, if I have an average stop of about 6 or 7 pips every time this signal presents, just to account for human error, what I would even do is go down and say, let me just look for 15 pips. And that was the first way I built the first system, was like basic math. Let me get a bunch of markups. The average loser goes this far. Average winner goes this far. That's the signal. That's how much I'm going to look for on my average winner. More times than not, I'm going to win. And in the long run, that system proved to be consistently profitable if you hit it every single time and you followed the rules the right way. And that's the thing. That's where everybody that's the difficulty in trading. I'm sure you know. When you have rules, whether they're detailed and it's a checklist of rules and you got to go through it, or if it's just 3 questions. If you have rules and you break them, you're off in like no man's land. You're breaking edge. You're doing something that just completely defies logic within the system. So I think having the rules is step 1, and then being able to follow the rules is step 2. And then developing that system, for me, it was just pattern recognition, back testing profitable patterns. I would see, because of the indicators I was using, I use exponential moving averages. I would see certain moves happening. I would then be able to confirm that with a few other indicators, a few other price action things, and basic structure, like nothing complicated. And if I could use that logic to then go back and test that, that would become the system. Does that make sense?
Yeah. How many things are you is on your checklist to like?
So like I have the 3 systems that I use. I call them the A1, the D1, and the D2. So the A1 system, it has like 9 questions, 10 questions on the checklist. And it's not so much questions on like yes or no. What is this? Tell me this. It's what is this part of the chart telling me? What is the exponential moving averages telling me about trend? What is the TDI? What is average daily range? What's the Asian range telling me? So it's more, instead of, I don't want you to think of it as like, and I don't want anyone listening to think it's binary, like yes or no questions. Is this at its highest probability point, or could it be better? That's the question I'm asking myself about a bunch of parameters on the chart. So if a bunch of things to me, if I look at it and say, well, what could be better? Nothing. That's in perfect trend. That's perfect. ADR is perfect. This is okay. That's a setup that I would qualify as probably an A. And that would then tell me how much size even to put on the setup. So you see how it's all systematic?
Yes.
That's my thing. It's like, I like to make it as unemotional as possible. So then if there's a couple of things wrong where I'm like, yeah, that could be better and that could be better, let's cut the size in half because it's a C setup. We don't need as much size, but we can read that risk reward. Let's hit that risk reward. But we don't need as much size because it could be better. It's like logic. That's all I've applied to it. It's just kind of like simple logic, you know?
Yeah, well, totally get it. And like this actually reminds me of this thing that I created. Like it started out like just being called like a stock evaluation guide, like because there were so many things that you could check off for stocks. Like I'm trading stocks, I'm trading options.
Sure.
But like a checklist, you're right. Like it's not like just a yes or no. And then like what happens if you have a checklist of 10 things and 9 is checked off for this one and 9 is checked off for that one? Well, which one do you go to?
Right.
So it very similarly moved towards a weighted average checklist, where each thing like would have its own weight assigned to it. And like you would start to get into like, okay, like overall, like this is a 9.5, and then like this one has 9 checks, but it's also an 8.5. So then it just like helps the decision making be a little bit clearer to kind of get into like the granularity of just like seeing it visually.
And I think that precision, the same way that you would grade those two setups, is very similar to what I'm saying. And I feel like that precision is what makes the difference for consistency, because if you can be that precise over a long period of time, that is like the heavenly area that most traders can't reach. And I feel like, we know most traders lose money, 90%, 95, whatever you want to say. Most traders lose money. That area is where they can find those rules and it has to have that edge. And if it has that edge, like your system clearly did, my system has that edge. If you can be that precise over a long period of time, boom, you're in that consistency area.
We actually have some questions coming in now. Let's see. So this is from Eric. What's a reasonable lot size for a $1,000 account, and what's the minimum reward to risk ratio that you would trade?
So for people always ask me about what lot size should you trade. I answer the question by saying this: my risk profile, how I grade those setups I was just explaining, I'll never put more than 4% of risk in my entire account balance between trades at any time. I'll never have more than 4% at risk.
So you would, on one trade, you're risking 4%?
No. Maybe what I'm saying is at one time. So maybe on 2 trades, I have 2 and 2. So I'll never
got
go
it.
4% overall. Yeah, of course.
So, no.
So to answer the question, yeah.
Like portfolio heat.
Sure.
Have you heard of that term, portfolio heat, or is that kind of like a stock thing?
No.
Like just like how hot is your portfolio? Like if everything kind of craps the bed, like that's how much you're gonna lose.
Yeah, it's similar to what I'm saying, I think.
Yeah.
And the reason I answer the question about the lot sizes for the $1,000 account is because the $1,000 account can't trade the same lot. And this is only speaking with regulated brokers. If you're using an unregulated broker, it's hard for me to comment on it because they make their own rules. But the regulated brokers in the United States, you can get 1 to 50 leverage on only a few pairs. The rest of the pairs, you actually get less. And because you get less, you can't trade the same lot size. So I can't tell you trade 0.2 lot size on a $1,000 account because it's different for the pair that you're trading, because the leverage is different and the value of the pips $2 is slightly different as well. So it's easier and it makes more sense for long-term purposes to always address this question with percentage returns, percentage risk versus percentage reward, that kind of thing.
How about the reward to risk side of it?
Oh yeah, 2 to 1. My systems, all 3 of those entries that I was describing, if it's not 2 to 1, I'm not in the trade. If it's 1 to 1, it's hard. I've been very good this year to not take the 1-to-1 C setups. Just say, I'll come back tomorrow. I've been good this year, but last year, Austin, he might take a couple of those 1-to-1 risk reward trades just to get the action. But now I have other things. So I'm just like, I'm getting better at saying, I don't need the action. I want the good trades, but yeah, 2 to 1 minimum, but I'd like 3 to 1. That gets me even more excited. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Like within my system, like the minimum that I'm shooting for is 3 to 1. And yeah, like it when you have a higher reward to risk too, like you could have a little bit less of a batting average too. So like there's other things to look at it in the system aside from just like what's the reward to risk, like what's your batting average too.
Absolutely. And then I think that goes into your mental. So like for me, I need to win. If I lose a lot, I know myself. I don't respond well to a lot of losing. So the strategy that I built, that first one, and then the 2 consecutive after that, were high win rate, 70, 80% win rate, 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10. That's why I'm cool with 2 to 1, because I might lose 2 or 3 out of 10, but I'm going to win those other ones at least 2 to 1 every time. So exactly. You can dude, Paul Tudor Jones was what, 5 to 1? He's like, I'll lose 5 times. I don't care. You know what I mean? That's his mindset. That does not work for me though. I know myself. It just doesn't, I'll explode. It's just me.
Yep. Like knowing yourself is super important.
Yep.
One of the most important and underrated things in trading.
Absolutely. What do you think when you got into trading as a business, what do you think, if you could go back in time, you would do to help yourself understand that better?
Understand which part better?
I guess
knowing yourself part better?
Yeah. It's like because I feel like a lot of my issues have come because I didn't know how I would respond in certain situations, and then being able to look at it and see how I was responding in my trading, and then seeing how that tied to who I am as a person just brought so much clarity to me and why I was acting the way I was acting, which then allowed me to correct. So what do you think people could do? Because I always wonder that, like, what could people do to bring more light to self-awareness?
I was talking to Mike 20 years ago, like, don't be afraid to get help and get outside perspectives, like real coaches that can help you, because like I floundered for like the first 10 years of my trading life, and it was really because I distrusted so much of the industry, or the people that were trying to sell courses. Like I thought that everybody was just trying to sell me something.
Absolutely.
And I tried to do everything on my own, and it didn't work. When I finally got people around me, like this investing group that I've been a part of, the New York City Investors Business Daily Meetup, we meet once a month. And once I got those guys around me, it was run by a hedge fund manager at the time, a couple of full-time traders, and I was able to show this group what I was doing and get feedback. Like that helped me progress pretty quickly.
I think that's huge. I think that's a really good answer. I feel like and Mike Bellafiore, he talks about doing the trader checkups, where it's like you have a trader it doesn't necessarily have to be someone who's trading the same system as you. No, I mean, that helps, but not always, but just someone that has more experience. Look over your journaling, look over your markups, look over your ideas, look over your trades to say, hey, you could probably tweak here. And my 5 years can save you 3 if you listen to me and do this. You know what I mean? That's huge.
Yeah, absolutely. Like one of the examples that I go back to all the time is look at doctors. Right? Yeah. Like if you want to be a doctor, it's not just like crack open a book and all right, here's your scalpel, go to town. Right? Like you're going through like 10 years of medical school, and a big part of that is a residency and an internship and all these things where there's actually somebody there guiding you. Trading should be similar, but because you're able to just fund an account and
throw it in,
just click some buttons, like people think that it's easy.
It's crazy. And it's like, imagine if people would take the money that they throw at a college education because they have everyone else telling them to throw their money at the college education. Imagine if they took that money and not even put it into trading education alone, just financial education from people that have proven themselves. Now we have the internet, right? People online that have proven themselves worthy to teach. Imagine how much smarter as a culture we could be if a whole generation of people just started investing their money that way rather than throwing their money, which I think we're leaning towards. It's amazing. Yeah. I mean, what we're able to do, even just doing this video, it's a form of teaching, but then putting courses online, YouTube videos, and then even places like Udemy, where you have like Harvard professors, ex-Harvard professors that'll teach you a class on economics for $89. Like that's I feel like the way of learning and that continued mentorship. But you got to seek that out. Like you're a person and I'm a person that will pay money to go to a conference to grow, or will pay money to take a course to grow or learn something new. You have to be that kind of person off the jump if you're even going to go down this path. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I try to project well, what are things going to look like 10 years from now? Right? Like even 5 years from now, like
I was going to say 5 years.
Different. Yeah, like the world is changing like so quickly, and there's just like so much opportunity.
Yep. And then the internet ties it all together. And that's the beautiful thing about trading, is like we're able to take advantage of this thing that has never, at least in our history, it's never been created before, which is awesome because, I mean, I like to do some research on statistics, and I studied this survey done by, I can send it to you. The bank is called the IBS, this organization, and they studied central banks, and they proved that the spot Forex market is increasing in volume, which means more traders are trading. That's all. In the last 3 years, it's been going up in the last 9 years, actually. Every 3 years they do the survey. So showing that more and more people are getting involved just excites me even more. You know what I mean? Like, I think it is an awesome time to be involved, being able to run your own business, you know, and we could talk about that a little bit too, even trading as a business. That's something else a lot of people don't talk about, is like trading as an entity, trading as an LLC or whatever, and working with professional people to keep your business in line. Like, I just got off the phone yesterday with my accountant. We pay him a nice chunk of change every month, but it's because we have, you know, income coming in that I don't want the IRS coming and knock on my door. I don't want to be the guy that has a story about him. He owed $300,000 like Wesley Snipes or what style. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't need all that. I want to do it right from the jump. And I feel like a lot of traders don't approach their business that way. They don't look at it like I should do it right from the jump. They're like, oh, I'll get to that. I'll set it up once I have more money. I think you should set it up as soon as you decide to take your business seriously. Is that today? Doesn't matter how much money you have or anything. You should take those steps, get the accountant, get the business set up, and get those things rolling, because I think the sooner you do that, the better. No one was telling me that, and I think that would have saved me a lot of time.
Wow, man, I love that you have that mindset, and especially like shit, man. Like I feel like I'm talking to somebody that's like twice my age, let alone like God, like Jesus Christ,
dude. I'm finding gray hairs. Don't date me like that yet. Come on.
Hey, man, like I've got enough of those. I'm just lucky to keep it in.
That's what I was saying to Riley. I was like, I don't know. Do I want to go gray or do I want to just go bald?
Oh man, like you could have that. What's that? The name of this actor is escaping me, but yeah, like the distinguished look, like with the grays like on the side, like that's what I tell myself anyway.
Go for like the full Jeff Bezos, like bald and husky look. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there you go.
Do we have any other questions coming in? Let me see.
Yeah, we do. We've got a couple here. For this one's from Daniel. What's the best way to avoid a fake out when scalping? Larger amount of volume kicking in, green prints in TNS. What causes me to stay flat in account value? I'm up and I'm down, and then I'm down and I'm up. My account is just kind of all over the place, kind of staying flat. What kind of advice?
So I was someone, and I am someone who does like to occasionally scalp. It's not something that I like set out to do, but you have to define scalping first. And I think scalping to me, and what seems to fit the definition of most people, is a trade that you're in for shorter than the full day. When I talk to most people, I know the true definition of scalping is those micro orders that they do, that the high frequency trading robots do. That to me is the true scalping. But I think when average people talk about it, people look at me and they think I'm a scalper because I hold the trade for an hour or 30 minutes. But to me, you can catch your trade sometimes in that time frame. So why marry something? Why stay in it? Get in, get out, put the money in the bag. And that goes back to, again, and I'm not trying to take a long way to the answer, but that goes just back to my mindset. The cynical, I'm skeptical. Me, I want to hit my trade, put the money in the bag. Next, one good trade. Hit the trade, put the money in the account. Next, one good trade on that system. Rather than trying to think, I got the bottom, I'm holding it all year, kind of, you know what I mean? That's just my mindset. But to avoid, I think, the fake outs in the scalping, you have to know higher time frame trend. If you're trading in the direction of the higher time frame and more of those higher time frames line up telling you one direction for trend, you're putting probabilities in your favor. And that's all we can do when we're trading, is try to get probabilities on our side. If you're going counter trend, scalping is going to be tough. If you're in trend, you might have a shitty entry, but because you're in trend, I've seen it, I've been a part of it, it still can work out for you sometimes if you manage that position correctly. So I think it starts with knowing the higher time frames. What trend are you in?
100%, I agree. And the same exact thing works in stocks and in crypto, in commodities, in baseball cards, and anything that trades. And I've seen it. I've coached people that have traded all those things, and like that part of trading, extraordinarily similar. Start from the top, work your way down.
Exactly.
Question from Anne. I think you have a great thing going, and I can see your business growing exponentially. When it does, do you think you'll still be able to remain so hands-on?
Absolutely. And that was like part of why I always give Riley a lot of credit for what we're doing, because she is such a big part of it, because she helps me have that free time to still grow the business. She's growing the business when I'm doing a one-on-one with a trader, or I literally today, I spent all morning catching up on emails and Telegram messages, going over markups of traders on our team, because I want them to know that I'm there for them, number one. But number two, I know that I can do that now and then still go enjoy my night with Riley tonight and not be worrying about it tomorrow. So it's prioritizing my time, but always putting the priority being my number one goal every day that I write down at the top of my thing is I want to help 20 new traders every month make better decisions. That's my goal every morning. I tell myself that. So right now and for the near future, that is my only focus. I've had people approach me and try to say, let's start a fund. Let's put money together. Like, I'm not into that right now. I don't want your money. I don't want anyone's money. I got mine. I'm good. You're good. Let's get other people moving in the right direction right now. Because it, like I said at the beginning, it fulfills me. Like, I feel good when somebody says to me, do you send signals? And I say, no, I actually teach you how to trade, and I'm going to teach you how to be self-sufficient, and you're not going to need signals. And they go, wow, that's amazing. Let's do it. And then they actually come in and they actually learn. And then I see them doing that. A new guy that I just started working with, he's from New York. His name is Alex. He made $1,100 in his first week, last week, with our system. He had been trading before, but he was just applying what he learned from our courses. And I was like, dude, this, like, that, the feeling that gave me, I was like, that felt better than the trade. I don't even remember the trade of that day, but I remember him sending me those messages and those screenshots because that's what drives me right now. So yeah, I'm going to keep doing this until it doesn't satisfy me anymore, you know?
Totally get it. Totally agree. Like, that's it. You know, like, do it until like you don't love it anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, it's awesome because it's putting me around cool people like you. Then I get to meet Mike Bellafiore, who's like I remember like 4 years ago, I went to the Trader Expo in New York City, and I told Mike this a couple weeks ago. We were talking on Twitter, and I remember sitting in the audience, seeing him speak on a panel. It was him and 3 other dudes, and I was like, he's the only one who I actually take seriously. He's sharp. I like him. And then I started following him then, and I just watched him, and I watched SMB, and I watched their social media grow, and I watched them start YouTube videos, and I've watched them grow on social. And I've listened to Mike. I've read both of his books. And then I met Dr. Steenbarger last year too. So just getting around these people, it's been amazing. And then being that guy that was in the audience to then now actually going to be on stage with Mike and you in Amsterdam, it's like, it's fucking crazy. Like, you know what I mean? Like I said to Riley, I'm like, this is insane. Like, I can't believe the first time we're going to Europe is to do this. So I'm just so grateful. And like, that's why I'm never going to stop doing this, because we get to be around awesome people that actually like helping other people too. Mike, listen, you, Mike, Jason, everybody else doesn't need to take time out of their day to do this, but we choose to because of the benefit. And like, I admire that quality in human beings.
What was it about Mike when you were on that stage? Like, all those other people, you're like, God, those people are a lot. Like, what were some of the things that was just like, yeah, like this is a real, like, what jumped out at you?
Oh man, I think because he was the least. It stuck out, I guess, because he was the least salesy, I guess you could say. Like, he wasn't trying to sell me anything, but at the same time, he seemed so knowledgeable and just wanting to educate. And like I said, I respect people that are in the business of educating rather than selling or rather than vomiting information. If you educate me in the right way, I just respect that a lot. So in the way he spoke, Mike, he's very soft spoken. He talks a lot slower than me. And I also respect experience, I think, because as soon as I started hearing him talk, I looked him up on Google. You see, he's got SMB. You see, he's got these traders he's worked with. I'm like, this guy has the balls. So it's like, I'm going to listen when he's got to talk. You know, I try not to judge people on who they are, what they look like, or anything like that. I just judge people on their actions. What have you done? What do you do? How do you conduct yourself? That's what I try to judge people on, if I judge at all.
Like I feel like there's so much people trying to do the hard sell in this business too, like that. And I think that's part of why it kind of gets a little bit of a bad rap too.
Absolutely. And I feel like it's in every industry, but our industry it does get a bad rap. And trading is always going to be a shitty industry to most people because most people do lose money. Most people know someone that lost money. Most people got burned by something financially at some point in their life, and then that makes them jaded to the idea of controlling their own financial future. But, you know, we're talking to the people who know that they actually still have the ability to do that. They have that in them, and they just are ready to seize that. And that's the kind of people that we like to work with, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. how can more people get a hold of you, and what's the best way to contact you?
So best way to contact me is definitely Instagram, Austin Silver FX. You can email me, thesilverinvestmentgroup@gmail.com. I'm on Twitter, Austin Silver FX. I am on Telegram at Austin Silver. And I'm on Facebook. I'm everywhere. I'm very easy to find. Just throw a Google search in, you'll find me if you need me. And I answer everybody. So if you're listening and there's any questions you have about something I said, please reach out to me, reach out to Michael. We're all connected in some way. So connect with us. Don't be shy, because I guarantee you, even if there was 7 people on this call the whole time, one of them is trading and taking it more seriously and not speaking up in the call and not networking with us as much as they should. And I feel like that was me. So I encourage everybody that's listening to network with us, talk to other traders that are actually legit, talk to other traders that have been doing it. You're going to realize you should have done that in the long run, because you're going to want to be around those people.
Yeah, absolutely. Any other closing thoughts before we go?
I love what you're doing, man. I got to go listen to Rolf's episode. I'm going to do it in the car today. So I'm excited for that. I appreciate you having me on again, as always. And I'm excited to see you in April. So I'll see you in like a month and a half or so.
Yeah, man. I'm looking forward to it too. Thanks so much for coming on the show again. It's always a pleasure.
Always.
And
bro.
yeah, thank you everybody that joined us today. Thank you for
guys.
being here. Thanks for the amazing questions.
Thanks, everybody.
Take care. Bye.